Hey people, voice talking to you, and today we are checking out, yes, your grace, Snowfall. In this medieval fantasy kingdom management strategy game, we play as King Eric of Davern, the ruler of a kingdom that just barely survived both a barbarian incursion and a civil war. If you're down for some medieval drama and you're interested in checking this demo out for yourself, I'll have a link for you down in the description where you can download it for free. Down there you'll also find a link to my Twitch channel in case you'd like to hang out with us when we try these games out live. Now, if you haven't played the prequel to this game, then be warned that there are going to be some spoilers ahead. So, now's your chance to dip out. Good, okay. After King Eric barely managed to keep his kingdom and his head out of the hands of both the barbarians and the traitor prince, a new threat comes to Davern as the seasons approach winter. It seems a powerful local baron is making a play for lands to support trade with our enemies, which would destroy one of our neighboring states in the process. Given the weakened position of our kingdom, we must decide whether or not to assist our ally or to save our resources and try and fend for ourselves. At the same time, courtly bandits have been making themselves known. Strange magics threaten our family, and a mysterious illness has befallen Eric's infant son. If you think that sounds like a lot of problems to deal with, you don't know the half of it. The drama besieging the kingdom of Davern and King Eric's family in particular is constant and ever escalating. This isn't just a game that won't pull its punches, this is a game that waits for your back to turn before it hits you, and then kicks you when you're down, just to make sure you get the message. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, as they say, and King Eric's crown is burdensome indeed.
What's the difference between a common man and a king?
Shiny hat.
Both make mistakes, but a king's decisions affect the lives of many.
Or that, I guess. As king, our job is to manage the needs of our kingdom and balance our duties to our people with the interests of our family. If you've played the first game, then you probably know exactly how that translates to gameplay. But for the rest of us, allow me to explain. The game is divided up into weeks, with each week acting as one turn. Each week can be used to complete a number of quests and solve issues both from petitioning citizens and in the kingdom at large. As we go about our kingly duties, there are 5 primary resources we must be aware of, only 2 of which are actually physical. The 3 central and non-physical resources we need to manage are the happiness of our citizens, our influence, and our prosperity. Happiness will increase when we act favorably towards citizens, but will decrease when we refuse requests or when consequences call our leadership into question. Influence is admittedly still a bit of a mystery to me, and wasn't touched on in the demo. Prosperity is a measure of our kingdom's well-being and can be increased by completing petitions and solving issues in the kingdom. At the end of each week, prosperity can be converted into gold and supplies. The player can decide how much prosperity to trade for supplies and how much they want converted into gold. However, we can only earn up to a maximum of 100 prosperity each week, meaning any extra earned will be wasted. But at the same time, if we refuse requests just because we won't get any more prosperity, we may quickly lose happiness, so balancing expenditure with rewards is paramount. The gold we earn is primarily used to pay the wages of our agents and to purchase goods. Supplies are used to explore locations on the map in service of completing quests and earning various rewards. I'll cover expeditions a bit later though. For now, let's focus on our duty on the throne. Our most straightforward responsibility as king is to listen to the petitions of our people and decide whom to help and how. Each week, a number of citizens with different problems will come to the throne room and ask for your aid. There's a good variety to the different stories and problems that citizens will bring to your attention, and they seem to be randomized too, up to a point. After hearing their plea, you'll have to decide whether to dedicate resources to helping that citizen or to send them away empty-handed. Most petitions will be resolved through the game's encounter system. To complete an encounter, we need to assign resources that earn more than the minimum number of points. Some encounters will offer additional rewards for reaching certain thresholds or an exact score. As the king, most of the work we need done will be accomplished by our agents rather than ourselves. Each agent has their own strengths, and matching up an agent with certain skills to the proper issue will improve the points they can earn. For example, our court witch excels at medicine, so assigning her to deal with an outbreak of pox will earn more points than asking our army general to handle it. In lieu of, or in addition to, assigning agents, we also have the option of giving out items such as tools, food, or other goods that could assist citizens or boost the abilities of our agents. Now, each agent can be assigned multiple times if an encounter requires it, but they all have a limited number of action points each week. Action points can be recovered at the end of the week by paying that agent's salary. Any unused actions can be used on the next week, but they'll be overwritten if you pay that agent's salary anyways, so be prudent. Additionally, agents may be required for expeditions as well, so spending all of their actions in the throne room may leave you with no way to solve other problems. Expeditions are separate from petitions, and are undertaken on the region map at the cost of supplies, typically. Similar to petitions, though, expeditions often require an encounter to be completed for any rewards to be earned. Completing one expedition may lead to unique petitions the next week or open the path to more locations. We aren't anchored to our throne, though, and can get up at any time and travel to different areas around our castle, in addition to accessing the region map, of course. Here we can meet other nobles, speak with our family members about more domestic issues, and spend gold on items and resources. Aside from the order of the queue, we can perform tasks in whatever order we wish. Keep in mind, however, that whatever resources you dedicate to one issue cannot be taken back for another that week, so act with restraint. On the other hand, if you hold back too much, you'll end up wasting resources with unspent actions at the end of the week and a declining happiness level from unfulfilled requests. Weighing the petty issues of each citizen with the overarching threats plaguing the kingdom makes for a surprisingly complex balancing act. You won't be able to make everyone happy, and completing vital tasks by the end of each week without turning your kingdom against you can be a real head-scratcher, and it'll really test your strategy skills and your ability to think long-term as a ruler. Setting aside the mechanical aspects of the game, I really want to talk about the art. Characters and animated objects are all done in this really detailed retro pixel art style, but the backgrounds and scenes are done up in a colorful and really gorgeous painted style somewhat reminiscent of an old medieval landscape painting. Plus, the music designers went absolutely crazy. Man, this music is bopping. Holy crap. I was not expecting the music to be so good. The soundtrack is a full-on orchestral showpiece that I was absolutely not ready for. Just the intro and title menu soundtracks were impressive and cinematic enough to completely knock my socks off. Hands down, this was one of the best indie soundtracks I've heard in a while. If that wasn't enough, the intro cinematic is remarkably well voice acted and does an excellent job of getting us up to speed on the events of the first game. Okay, so visuals, check, but this game doesn't have a ton of varied scenes. Audio, check, but only the intro is fully voiced. So, I'll talk about potentially the most important artistic piece of this title, the writing. Because yes, there is a lot of reading. From a nuts and bolts perspective, the writing is pretty solid. I didn't really see any major grammatical errors or typos, and any that did exist were minor enough not to throw off the flow of reading. It doesn't repeat itself or take up space with long wordy statements without offering flavor and style to go with it. Hello, my silly pickle. From a narrative and artistic perspective, though, my hat is off to the writers at Brave at Night Studios. If I had to complain about something, it would be that some expedition stories lack a bit of detail. But, since I don't have to complain, I love the writing. Dialogue is interesting and artfully includes different manners of speech and tone without deviating from the important bits, and the story overall is just captivating. The absolute scale of the drama is impressive enough, yet the stakes always seem to be getting higher, and every interaction offers new questions not only about our cast of characters, but also about the mystery of the world at large, especially considering how magic seems to be largely out of the picture most of the time, yet is integrally tied to the story. But we should have known that damn ritual would have What ritual? Personal feelings and artistic impressions aside, this game isn't perfect. First off, I encountered a major bug when nearing the end of the demo. When trying to load an autosave that occurs at the end of each week, the game would allow me to use the end of week interface, but instead of shifting to the next week afterwards, it would lock me onto the region map screen, but would not allow me to leave or interact with anything. Additionally, the game doesn't do a very good job of explaining several of the mechanics, only covering the basics in very broad strokes, and only when a scripted event occurs that makes it relevant. For example, we weren't told about happiness at all until a petition we couldn't have possibly fulfilled costs us a big chunk of happiness points. Items and the bonus agents get from tackling certain issues I also had to figure out for myself, though it wasn't too hard to do so take that with a grain of salt. This could very easily be because the devs expect their audience to be familiar with the mechanics from the first game, which is something you never really want to do. If you expect to have lots of returning players, you'll want to have an option to disable or skip tutorials rather than simply breezing through them. On the other hand, the intro cinematic did a really good job of explaining everything that happened in the first game in a digestible way, so I don't feel like new players will need to play through the first to understand what's going on, though some details and references may still fly over your head. Additionally, Snowfall has an option to import your choices from the first game to this one, allowing you to continue your story from where you left off if you did play the original Yes, Your Grace. If you didn't, but still want to make your own choices, your advisor will walk you through your options for each at the start of the game. Or you can just ask him to pick the best outcomes and get on with the new adventure. Overall, yes, Your Grace, Snowfall looks to be an excellent successor to the original and an all-around fantastic strategy RPG. Between the intriguing story, artistic chops, and challenging gameplay, it's like playing through a Game of Thrones novel, but maybe without all the incest and fratricide. Frankly, I'm stoked to see this game release, and I'm probably even going to go back and play through the first game. They got me. They got me with this. The style of it, the music is so good. Oh, yeah. Have nothing more to say than I'm like floored. This was great. But I'm just the voice in your head anyways, so what do you think about this one? Did you play the first game? Is Snowfall looking to be better or worse than the first one? What other games does this remind you of? Because I can think of a handful. Let's talk about it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, leaving a like really helps me out, and subscribing is the best way to support the channel and keep new videos coming your way, because I put out new reviews every single week. Thanks so much for listening to me today, and you'll be hearing from me again real soon. Alright. Uh-huh. 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 Uh-huh.